So today we're going to take an in-depth review of the Darkflash DLH21, what the internet is currently calling as the NZXT-H1 killer. Well, let's see if this is true, and let's see if this will be your next PC case to use on your next build. Let's go. First look on this case is that the materials on this case are premium in quality. However, the bottom side, which serves as the main stand, might be not of a premium side because it's plastic. However, there's not a lot of ITX cases that you can see that has these many input ports. We're looking at two USB ports, a headphone plus microphone jack combo, as well as a Type-C port, which you rarely find in these kind of cases. Now, the case features a magnetic snap-on which makes removing the top cover an ease, and the side panels are actually thumb screws. You could remove each, and each side panel actually has an included dust filter on it, which is a nice touch for the case. You also get a 90mm slim fan which could later on be placed on the top part of the case. Now, the case features adding two 120mm fan or a 240 AIO configuration on one side, and you have two storage slots on the bottom, which is good for two SSDs. However, you can't do a clean SSD plus hard drive combo here. It would either be two SSDs or one hard drive, unless you're trying to squeeze a hard drive in there. And by height, it's not that much taller on the X Proto case, and by default, your GPU will be placed on a vertical position, thus removing the need for extenders that could sometimes get really annoying. So let's talk about the configuration a bit for this case. It would be ideal if you're going to go with an all exhaust configuration, as going with an intake configuration with your available 120mm fan slots. The airflow will be super scattered. It will be flowing out everywhere. You will be able to feel it on your side, top, bottom, and back, as well as in your front. Now, if we're going to be putting it on an all exhaust configuration, we will be able to mitigate and control the airflow to one side of the case. Now, let's talk about temperatures of this case. At stock settings, the temperatures are actually acceptable. By the way, I'm using the Ryzen 7 2700X paired with a 1650 Super. Now, for me, these temps are acceptable for this kind of case because one, we're going to be going with an all exhaust configuration on this, and the spaces are actually tight, and we're just going to be basically relying on our GPU when it comes to fresh air that would come to the case. Now, we start to hit a problem when we start overclocking the PC. When I tried to run the PC at 4.1 GHz, the temperatures are not that desirable and could be a bit scary when you try to consider this kind of case. Okay, so if you're going to be going for this kind of case, I would recommend you to, if you really want to overclock, that is, to just overclock it to around 50% of what you want, or rather what you expected to have the PC, or rather the CPU, to be overclocked. Because for some reason, even though I'm using a good cooler, which is the IS60 from ID Cooling, the temperatures are pretty high. Now, for this case, do not expect any RGB lighting. Yes, the case itself will cover all your RGB all RGB parts inside, and you won't be able to appreciate it. However, you have this good looking underglow that would accent the case, and for my case, if I could say so myself, it is actually a neat addition. Going for a slick and simple look will actually make the case look a bit more premium. So installation of the parts were actually kind of easy, though you have to consider that if you really want this, if you really want a PC case like this and you want it to be clean, you'll be using custom cables. If you're going to be using a non-modular SFX power supply for this, expect your cable management to be kinda rough and a bit messy because the spots are too tight, as well as you're going to be struggling with cable management and pretty much making your PC look good from the inside if you're not going to be using custom cables on this. For the physical presentation of the case, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Why? One, because the airflow of this case is actually not that good. The only fresh air you would be depending on to the case would be one, your surrounding, second, your GPU as your intake, as well as if optional, you could use your 90 mil free fan to be your intake. Now, physically looking at it, it's actually looking premium, as it says. The all metal part looks good. However, the plastic part on the bottom, unless you try to touch it, you will not feel or look at it as it was cheap. However, I could not, or maybe they were doing a cost cutting for deciding that the base plate, or rather the base stand, would be a plastic. Now for the price. With its current price, I would say it's actually acceptable for an ITX case. However, there was actually a cheaper one that is basically similar to it that just got released, which was the Aigo version of this. And I think most people would be going for that version, but I haven't had my touch on that case itself, so I wouldn't be able to say whether it's actually a premium one or not. But when it comes to price, I'm actually thinking that this is a reasonable price if you're going to compare it with the NZXT-H1. However, take consider that when you buy the NZXT-H1 cases, it actually comes along with a lot of kit. One, you get to have a free power supply, as well as you get an AIO included. And that is it for our video today. Hopefully I was able to help you in deciding whether you want or if you will be getting this case. I would love to know down below whether you're considering this, or if you know any alternatives or any better cases that would be, or rather that is similar in this kind of form factor. Anyways, that will be the end of the video for today. If you like the video, feel free to leave a like and a sub, and I'll see you on the next one. Patch out.